Hey guys, Mark with Think Insurance. Today we're going to talk about Nationwide and we're going to discuss the SmartMiles and the SmartRide. So if you're not familiar with those, we're going to dive into those right now. This is actually the second time I started recording this. Apparently you have to hit the record button in order to talk for 10 minutes and realize that you're not recorded. So definitely give me a thumbs up if this video is helpful. Do me a favor, before we begin, I'm going to dive into a few different details in some different companies and options and things like that. But I would really love if you get something good out of this, leave it in the comments below. If it's something that you want to learn more about, let me know and I'd love to help. I'm also going to leave a link below to a company that works with multiple companies, which one of them happens to be Nationwide. So if you're looking to get more details and more information on the SmartRide and you want to talk to somebody live, that's going to be an option. You fill out the quote, takes like a minute, and then they'll contact you. So the SmartMiles versus the SmartRide, two different programs that Nationwide offers, and one of them I don't know if I'm sold on yet, so we'll dive into that now. And then the other one I think is a really good system that we've been kind of going over this channel over the last couple weeks with different companies. You've seen us talk about the Progressive system where they're starting to do telematics, but they're also allowing you to do a free trial. And then you've got the Root Insurance, which does only a free trial, and then they determine if you're a good fit. And then you've got like State Farm, which has a similar, so there's a lot of different programs that you can join, and they're all trying to mix in to find the best ways. Some of them are very similar. Well, Nationwide took it upon themselves to make a pretty cool little program. So the biggest complaint that people have when their rates aren't where they want them to be is that I'm not a high risk. Why should I be paying with the high risk people? Or I'm not this, I should be paying less. I agree. If the people are good drivers, they should have the better rate based on that. And that's the way the industry is starting to lead, especially when we get into autonomous vehicles and things like that. They're starting to show proof that they're less likely to get in an accident. And it's very true today. I think average of 40% of all of the claims or 38% of the claims are better when you have some sort of telematics system. So you're starting to see businesses use them in their fleet vehicles and all of that. So now it's starting to hit the consumer market where they're going to give us better deals as consumers, and we're going to be able to take advantage of those. If you're with Nationwide, you can join either of these at any time. If you're not currently with them, you can get quoted with them and be upfront with it. There's a couple little cool things that I personally know just from talking to them directly that I've found that is really, really cool, and you're going to love some of this stuff. SmartMiles. SmartMiles is the easiest one to talk about. It's the most basic. If you drive less than 10,000 miles, you're qualified, or you should be qualified. You really don't have to qualify for it, to be honest with you. You can join it, but if you drive more than 10,000 miles, what's the point? You're going to pay more money. Don't do it. If you're driving less than 10,000 miles, you're likely a good fit. Typically, the people that this is for is if you're retired, or if you have a second vehicle that you don't drive very often, or if a kid's away at school and the car's left at home, or if you have a fleet vehicle that you're driving for work and you don't need to drive another vehicle in excess of that time. Having that low mileage is going to really benefit you by not paying those extra fees. What it's going to do is it's not all mileage. So there's a premium that they have to collect because keep in mind, every insurance is a business. That's where people get lost. It's a company. They're trying to make a profit, right? If they're making $100 on you a year, they're hitting a gold mine. So what they're doing is they have a base, which the base is only a small slice of the pie. So they have kind of a little starting point where you're going to pay, let's just make up a number and say $40, right? So your base was $40. And then the majority of yours would be the payments after that would be on the mileage. So it's almost like when you lease a vehicle, you say that I'm going to drive 10,000 miles a year. And if you go over that 10,000 miles a year, you're going to pay a 3 to 5 cents per mile. Well, that's what you're doing with the insurance. But instead of going over, you're starting at the base. Base is the ground zero. So you have your small fee, you start from zero, and then each term, you're going to pay per miles that you drive. Based on that, it's a really low number. I believe it's 5 or 6 cents per mile. So if you're driving 3 to 8,000 miles, I think this is a really good fit. This is something that if your state is offering this, then I think it's going to be very helpful. Now that being said, there's also a second part to that, is they do telematics because you're physically plugging a device in your car. They're like, well, let's not stop there. Let's go ahead and rate the driver, which kind of gets into the smart drive, but it's still in the SmartMiles. So they're saying they're dedicating 10% of your discount in addition to them tracking how hard you brake, how fast you start, what times a day are you driving. If you're driving at night, it's very negative. If you're accelerating too fast, things like that. So they're doing what's called a telematics system built into the SmartMiles. Now, for those of you that think that that's a good fit, I wouldn't even worry about the telematics piece, because keep in mind, you're not driving the vehicle very often. So if you do drive crazy, I mean, if you lose that 10% discount, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world, because you're only paying that per mileage usage. So there's a huge, huge benefit for the low mileage drivers on that section. Now, the other cool part about that is that when they're doing that telematics, it's not the same as everything else. But keep in mind, it's a physical device that plugs into the car. That means that they can't check your cell phone. Like right now, I am currently with Progressive doing a test. I'm not insured with Progressive. I'm doing their pre-test where you can try out their system for 30 days and they're going to track my driving. I'm about 10 or 11 days into it. So in a few days, you may get a video about where I'm at halfway through, and it's tracking. It's giving me events, which means I brake hard. Or if I had my phone on and I'm looking and I'm checking something while I'm driving, it's going to notice that, and it check marks a negative for me. So it's kind of cool to see what it's doing. But this is a physical device plugged into your car with Nationwide. That's kind of a nice thing, because if you're the type like me who likes to touch their phone and see what's going on, and you can't disconnect while you're driving, or you turn on a YouTube video, set the phone down so you don't see it, drive safe, people, but you're not driving with the phone open, but you like YouTube while you're driving. So I do that, and so that's a struggle. For me, that would be a huge benefit to have a physical device to plug into the car, and that way they can't check if my phone flips on or flips off or anything happens that I'm actually using that for. There's no negative to that. That leads us into the Smart Drive system of Nationwide, which is equally amazing, because you're going to get that 38 to 40% discount if you're a great driver. Is it difficult to be that perfect driver? Absolutely. I tried it. I'm doing the one with Progressive, and it said the other day that I broke hard 3 times. I thought I did great. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's going to track those, and you're going to be able to go onto these programs or these apps and check where you're at. Now, here's the cool part. They offer 2 versions of the test drive. So you can do the one, which is your cell phone, the most common. That's what most people are probably going to be doing, because it's easy. You put an app on the phone, in the background, it just runs. It barely uses your battery, so you're good there. There's just no really negative to it, unless you're the type of person like myself that uses your phone a lot. Then you may fall into the other category, which is offered. You can do a plug-in device, similar to what Progressive calls Snapshot, but this one's called the Nationwide Smart Drive system. So theirs plugs into your car, tracks your mileage, tracks your braking, tracks all of that. That one's going to be more detailed, because that one knows it's your computer in your car is telling the actual device. It's just a recorder essentially, and that recorder sends the data back to Nationwide. And so it's basically taking the direct data from your car and telling Nationwide what's going on. So when are they driving? Where are they driving? How often are they driving? How often are they on the road? What type of risk is that? All of that data is the things that it's collecting, and it's sending it to Nationwide. In turn, for you giving away your data, they're going to give you a large discount for proving that you're a good driver. Now, in this one, I did it a little bit differently. I didn't dig in as deep as I normally do. I didn't go through their disclosures and look at the sharing of data. So far, what I've found across the majority of companies is that they do share their data within their network. So if they have a product that fits you and they find that out, they're going to kind of market that to you. Well, that doesn't happen very often, if at all, because there's not a way for them to know that. If there's some sort of legal action where the government needs the data, was he driving at this time? Was his car involved in a crime or something like that? They have to give that data. That's usually typically what you're giving up in exchange for the discount. And so you just got to know that up front. I haven't seen a company yet that has taken the data and sold it to anybody. Not to say that there aren't some out there. I highly doubt there are, but I don't want to say that and be wrong. Either way, I'm fairly confident that Nationwide's really good with your data, because they're one of the largest companies in the nation. They are a large player, and they're not going to risk losing their customers because of a data breach. Going back to the Smart Drive. So the Smart Drive, the way that this system works is it plugs into your car, or you download the app. You get the tracking, so they're going to check your braking, they're going to check all of that stuff. Here's the really cool part. This is the part that I was telling you that you guys might like. If you're in certain states, now I'm in Michigan, most states will probably offer this. If you go 45 days in and you realize within that 45 days that you're not going to be a fit, you drove bad, you had a lot of braking issues, you just couldn't match what they're doing, and you see that discount going in the opposite direction, because it starts off and it gives you 10% now, and then it'll give you up to 40% later, but if you're a bad driver, it's going to go backwards. And so what's going to happen is if you realize that that benefit is not there, then within that 45 days, you can cut it. You can pull it out, shut off the app, call up your agent and say, you know what, I had to change my mind. I need you to turn off this device. I'm not going to use that discount. That being said, the actual discount average that people that join this Smart Drive system is 21%. So if you want a really good discount, you could get higher than that, but overall, you can expect in most cases that you're going to get at least a 21% discount or more. Even if you're not that great, it starts at a 10% discount. Overall, 86% of the people that go into the program get an above that 10% discount. So there's a really good chance, unless you're the driver like myself, welcome to the club, and you're just not that great of a driver as far as the way a computer would see you. And I've always done aggressive, right? So if you're that aggressive, brake hard, start hard, drive late at night, you're working a third shift, and you're using the phone app and your phone's on, you're not going to get anything, right? So it's not a benefit for that person. But just know 86% of the people get above that initial 10%. 97% of the people that do it, period, get some sort of a discount. So maybe you don't get that full piece that you're looking for, but at the end of the day, there's a really, really, really good chance that this is a good fit for just about anybody. And there you have it. Those are the main differences between the SmartRide and SmartMiles through Nationwide. Honestly, I think it's a great thing to try, especially if you're already with them. Call your agent, call the 1-800-Nationwide number, check with them and see if it's something that you could activate. Personally, I would get the plug-in device so that they're not tracking your phone as well. And that way, if you're in a friend's car, you don't have to constantly say I'm driving in someone's car and following that. If you guys want more advice and more things like that, I'll put the links below. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I will see you in the next one.